right, let's talk about the tropics, guys. We'll get an update here on what's going on in the Atlantic. The tropical Atlantic remains quiet and closed for business, but north of there in the subtropical Atlantic, there's a little bit of some activity. You see that spin up there in the atmosphere. That's a system that they're watching called Invest 97L, and that's about a 30% chance of developing into our next named system, which is Debbie, but it is moving to the north into cooler waters and will probably fall apart before it does make that upgrade to a named system. However, in the Pacific, it is extremely active. We're up to 4 named systems, all coexisting in the Pacific Basin, all of them relatively close to one another. 2 hurricanes, Hector, which is a high-end Category 4. That's the one that'll sail just to the south of Hawaii. We have Christy, brand new tropical storm. John is a Category 1 hurricane. And Ileana, which is barely a tropical storm. It's going to be very interesting to watch John and how it interacts with Ileana and Christy. Models have it absorbing Ileana, something called the Fujiwara effect. And as it moves to the north and west, and Christy sails north too, there's possibility that it would absorb a second system. It's extremely rare for 2 storms to interact like this, let alone 3. So it'll be very interesting to watch here in the next couple days. And here's Hector. It's going to take a track just to the south of Hawaii. Right now, it's just under 600 miles away from the Big Island there. Category 4 storm expected to remain a major hurricane as it passes to the south. The good news is it's a relatively small system. The wind field is small as well. So even with a path that close to the Big Island, it should be spared the major impacts there. Here closer to home, dangerous heat building over the next few days. Today, low 90s, tomorrow mid 90s, but the heat index values 105 to 108, especially tomorrow. So that could bring us about a heat advisory for tomorrow afternoon. And then we stay steamy with the high humidity values right into the upcoming weekend. Radar is quiet out there right now, but something to bring to light here as we put it in the loop near Elizabeth City. It looks like a thunderstorm there. This is actually the echoes from the wind farm that's just to the east of those, just to the west of Elizabeth City there. However, maybe some of the fog here over the area, too. So we'll watch that, but it doesn't really look like it's an actual echo or return from a thunderstorm. It's probably just the wind farm there. 77 degrees outside right now with a dew point of 74. A few areas of fog like Elizabeth City at 3/4 mile, 4 miles in Suffolk, and 4 also in Ahoskie. Through the day today here on Futurecast, hazy sunshine, temperatures in the low 90s, maybe an isolated storm. 10–20% of you may see that. The majority of us getting through the day dry. Mid to upper 70s overnight tonight. A few patchy areas of fog yet again. Tomorrow we do it all over again, seeing those highs climbing into the low to mid 90s, but with the humidity, it'll feel like 105 to 108. And there is the slightest chance that some of you could seek some relief from an isolated storm that flares up tomorrow afternoon. But again, the majority of us will be getting through dry. 92 today, hazy, hot, and humid, very isolated afternoon storm. Tonight we're down to 77, muggy and warm. And as we get into the day tomorrow, 95 degrees, 91 on Thursday, pick of the week Friday at 90, and then slightly cooler as we get in early next week with higher rain chances.